All right, so we're back. This is the last video. I may have said number 6 was the last. This will be the last. So one thing I want to point out, the statement of retained earnings, remember, that's one piece of stockholders' equity. The other piece is contributed capital. So let's go here for a second. Hang on. Let's go to here. I just wrote that down. So stockholders' equity is equal to contributed capital plus retained earnings. However, if we now look, here's the formula for retained earnings. We're going to look at over the next few chapters, stockholders' equity as a whole and retained earnings. Right now we're looking at retained earnings because that's the particular statement. So here's the formula: beginning retained earnings, and I'll abbreviate it RE, plus revenues. It's hard writing on this board. Minus expenses. Remember, the net of those twos is either net income or net loss. Minus dividends, I'll abbreviate that DIV, equals ending retained earnings. And we're going to have problems that we do in class where you have to know that formula. So you may, just to give you something to think about, a question on a future exam or homework or assessment could ask about retained earnings balance. It could ask about stockholders' equity balance. It may give you revenues and expenses separately. It could give you net income as one number, right? You'll have to just know how to work with all of this. Okay, so back to our financial statements. That was the statement of retained earnings. This ending number, oh, one more thing. Both the retained earnings and the income statement, if you look at this third line in the heading, for the month ended November 30th, same thing here. The month ended November 30th. That means the information in this report is capturing our financial information for a period of time. In this case, it's for the entire month of November. It could be for an entire fiscal year, January 1st through December 31st, or whatever the fiscal year of a company is. It's for a window of time. As we look at our third report, we take this ending retained earnings number. Oh, I'll come back to that. That's part of stockholders' equity. And look, retained earnings, $300 goes here. So this is our balance sheet. This is our statement of financial position. It tells you our assets individually, all the balances, our liability, and stockholders' equity. Those headings should sound familiar to you. Remember, those are the headings in our accounting equation. So just like in the equation, balance sheet means these should be in balance. So our assets should equal the sum of our liability and stockholders' equity, which they do, $30,500 in assets and $30,500 in both stockholders' equity and liability. The heading here says November 30th, not for the period ending or for the month of, it's just November 30th, meaning at that one pinpoint in time, a snapshot on a particular date, this is how much all our accounts are worth. Cash is $9,000, accounts receivable $1,000, so on and so forth. Okay, and the reason this is prepared third is because retained earnings, we had to calculate it so that that value flows into the balance sheet. Okay, and then the fourth statement, which we will introduce here, but we really don't get to discuss until managerial accounting in at least at RV, is the statement of cash flows. So this is a little different. This statement shows us the physical movement of cash. Cash went out of our hands for this reason. We bought things, we paid for things, and came into our hands for this reason. As long as cash physically flowed in or out of the business, then it's captured in this report. There are three main parts to the statement of cash flow. That's cash flow from operating activities, cash flow from investing activities, and cash flow from financing. Those are your four statements. We're going to expand on each of those throughout the course, but at least you have a foundational understanding. After reviewing these screencasts and the MyLabs videos and all the resources available to you, please, again, feel free, reach out with any questions. Let me know what you'd like to discuss further or what questions I can answer for you. I will, well, not see you, but you will hear from me further in the Chapter 2 videos.